The ancient Chinese discovered various phenomena in nature and explained them through the balance of yin and yang. However, yin and yang alone were insufficient to fully explain complex phenomena. To address this, they further divided yin and yang into 4, 5, 8 categories and so on, aiming to describe these phenomena with greater precision. The 5 phases is one such classification system. It explains the energies of the natural world using 5 categories. The 5 phases as an imaginary classification of energies. This system is similar to dividing departments within a company. A company can be divided into 5 or even 10 departments. What matters is not the names of the departments, but their functions and areas of responsibility. The importance of relationships in the 5 phases. The key point is that the ancient Chinese believed that 5 primary energies influence and transform each other, thereby giving rise to natural phenomena. The 5 phases is the result of studying how these energies restrain, complement, and transform one another. This concept is similar to the regulation of yin and yang. Ultimately, the 5 phases is simply another name for yin and yang. When trying to understand the 5 phases, do not focus solely on the descriptive words for each element. Instead, imagine their energy, much like interpreting a poem, not by analyzing the words themselves, but by feeling the emotions and impressions they evoke. The reason these 5, or rather 4 qualities are depicted together in one diagram is intentional. Instead of trying to understand each phase individually, you should compare and contrast them to grasp their interconnected meanings. The sprouting of new buds and the growth of infants embody the energy of wood. Wood is characterized by rapid changes, and in nature this dynamic quality is symbolized by wind. In Korea, when someone suddenly becomes excited and starts something new, people often ask, "What kind of wind has inspired you?" Both spring and wind share the attributes of wood, representing initiative, commencement, and excitement. The energy of Mu marks the beginning of life in the yearly cycle, filling nature with a fresh and invigorating scent. In the I Ching, wood is described as Ku Ji, illustrating the process of something bent, straightening out, akin to spring water bursting forth, a compressed spring releasing, or the surprise of a jack-in-the-box. The energy of fire is hot, rising, and represents a prime state of activity. If wood is the sprouting seedling, fire is the tree in full bloom during the height of summer. Summer is when the energy of fire is at its peak. The hottest time of the year corresponds to fire, just as the hottest phase of human life, youth, a time of physical strength and vigor, is also fire. In the I Ching, fire is described as Yanshang, symbolizing flames burning intensely and ascending upward. The energy of metal is cool, dry, and symbolizes contraction, the force that draws everything inward. If the energy of wood represents the start of a season in spring, autumn corresponds to the season of harvest. In human life, it aligns with middle age, a period of transformation and change. In the I Ching, it is described as Kongji, indicating a time for adaptation and reformation. Unlike the outward expanding energy of wood, metal's energy gathers inward, focusing on consolidation and organization, counterbalancing the expansive nature of wood with contraction. When metal energy is excessive, it can lead to sadness and a sinking emotional state. When balanced, it brings stability, but if deficient, wood energy may dominate, causing frequent excitement or overactivity. Water energy is defined by its cold, descending nature. It corresponds to winter and shares similarities with metal energy, though it is colder and does not gather inward, but rather flows downward. Think of waterfalls. In winter, trees shed their leaves and dry out, while animals retreat underground. This season marks a pause in life activities, as everything returns to the earth. In the I Ching, it is described as runxia, which means to flow downward. The energy of earth mediates and governs the interactions between the rising and falling energies of water and fire, and the collecting and dispersing energies of metal and wood. In the I Ching, it is referred to as jiase, meaning sowing and harvesting grain, symbolizing both the beginning and the end of all things. 5 organs and their anatomical counterparts. The heart, lungs, and kidneys are relatively straightforward to understand because their roles in traditional Chinese medicine closely align with their anatomical functions. For example, the heart can be associated with the cardiovascular system, the kidneys with the urinary and reproductive systems, and the lungs with the respiratory system. In contrast, the liver and spleen differ significantly in their functions and interpretations in TCM compared to their anatomical counterparts. Below, I will provide a concise summary of the primary functions of these 5 organs from both TCM and biomedical perspectives. This comparison is meant to give you a general impression of each organ in TCM, but keep in mind that these connections are not direct equivalents and are provided solely to aid your understanding. In traditional Chinese medicine, the lung is best understood in terms of both the respiratory and immune systems in Western medicine. Therefore, the lung system in TCM includes not only the lungs on both sides of the chest, but also the airways and the diaphragm. Additionally, structures involved in the primary immune response in the respiratory system, such as the adenoids, tonsils, and lymph nodes, are also part of the lung system. The lungs are considered the uppermost organ among the 5 organs, and they are said to be the first to encounter pathogenic factors. This is not merely a metaphor. Within the lung system, the skin and the intestines are included, as they play roles in the first line of defense by interacting with external substances. This makes the lung system in TCM quite comprehensive. In TCM, the kidney is closely related to the urinary and reproductive systems in Western medicine. It is intricately connected to the production and excretion of urine. Additionally, organs and functions associated with sexual activity, such as the testes, ovaries, and prostate, as well as endocrine functions related to reproduction, belong to the kidney system in TCM. The kidney is also strongly associated with the bones, making it a focus of treatment for degenerative bone diseases and osteoporosis. In TCM, the heart corresponds to the cardiovascular system in Western medicine. Thus, conditions like angina, myocardial infarction, and arrhythmias are all seen as issues of the heart. The brain's functions are also associated with the heart in TCM. The heart is considered the organ that governs mental activities and is the most superior organ in this regard. Also, cerebrovascular diseases are also classified as heart-related problems in TCM. Mental activities such as cognitive function, orientation, and memory are closely linked to the heart. In TCM, the spleen differs entirely from the Western concept of the spleen. It is believed that during the early introduction of TCM to the West, this organ was mistranslated. The spleen in TCM is most closely related to the digestive system, including the esophagus, pancreas, stomach, duodenum, and the functions of all the intestines. Issues such as poor appetite, overeating, or diarrhea are associated with the spleen in TCM. The liver in TCM is challenging to align directly with a single system in Western medicine. The liver's primary function in TCM is to regulate the flow of QI. It is closely related to emotional expression. The liver also stores blood, playing a key role in blood distribution and regulating menstruation. Although the liver shares similarities with the heart, there are some differences. The liver primarily deals with blood deficiency, while the heart focuses on circulation. The liver is more connected to emotional expression, while the heart is associated with cognitive functions. Additionally, the liver is linked to the sinews or tendons and is responsible for the strength and function of muscles. 5 organs association with 5 phases are just metaphors. The association of the 5 organs with the 5 phases is purely metaphorical. Avoid forcing anatomical organs into the 5-phase system or attempting to explain overly stretched theories. The names of the organs serve as symbols and metaphors, with the focus placed on their functions rather than their physical entity. Don't be tricked by their names. As shown in the table, many pre-Han Dynasty texts assign the 5 organs to different elements within the 5 phases, wuxing. For example, the famous Taoist text Huainanzi assigned the lungs to fire, Guanzi assigned the liver to fire, while the Huangdi Neijing assigned the heart to fire. We simply follow the system outlined in the Huangdi Neijing. The 5 organs are merely names associated with the 5 phases. In traditional Chinese medicine, we refer to the organ with the qualities of fire energy as the heart, but this is not the anatomical heart. Whether we call it fire energy, the liver, or the lungs instead, it does not fundamentally change the concept or clinical application.